Hi, my name is Nish Acharya. I'm Executive Director of the Deshpande Foundation. We are a family foundation based in the Boston area. And I'm going to throw a bunch of shapes at you as soon as my slide gets up here. But our work essentially, oh, there it is, okay. So we focus on building innovation ecosystems, and this is something we call the sandbox. And I don't have a slide for it, but the idea is the sandbox has 4 walls, and children play in a sandbox and they build sandcastles together and they learn to play together. The idea of the sandbox is that you work in a specific region, you focus on innovation, entrepreneurship, and scalable ideas, and then everything you fund within that sandbox fits within those 4 walls. We do a lot of work in India where kids don't play in sandboxes, and that's always a fun explanation to give. But we recently launched a program in the Merrimack Valley, north of Boston, the cities of Lowell, Lawrence, Haverhill, and Judy Hogan's here from Middlesex Community College, and Mitra Grogan from Interrise, who are 2 partners of ours. And what we're really looking at is this bottom element of the pyramid. That the upper 2 levels are actually pretty well served by the people in this room and by our partners and others in the Merrimack Valley. There's a decent amount of high-tech companies. Each of the colleges has centers for entrepreneurship. But when we're looking at scale, we're really looking at the bottom level of the pyramid. That if you want to fund 5 companies, you can find the investors, the mentors, you can find the students working on the next generation iPhone apps. But the real issue is how are you going to build a community of entrepreneurs? How are you going to build a whole, 10,000 entrepreneurs, of which 1,000 will actually get to the middle level where they need mentorship and support and seed funding, and then eventually you have a couple of the real home runs that come out of that to drive economic development and economic policy. So we're really focusing on the bottom level, and I think that's where philanthropy has a really important role, because that is that's an area that requires a lot of risk-taking and a lot of willingness to fail and experiment. And it requires working with a lot of partners on the nonprofit side that actually have access to the potential leaders. And so what we're doing is there's 4 colleges in the area north of Boston that we're funding. In addition, there's 7 or 8 nonprofits, and there's a bunch of trade associations. And we're basically saying, how do you identify leaders and potential entrepreneurs and really support through our philanthropy, getting everybody in the community to identify the innovation they want to work on, roll up their sleeves and do something, and then as you build that community, sort of build the upper levels of the pyramid, where you're then supporting them with more mentorship, more support, more activity. Because we believe that if you're trying to pick winners at the higher levels, most of the time you're going to fail. But if you allow for lots of activity and let the natural process of the market and entrepreneurship pick the winners, you'll have a lot more entrepreneurship and a lot more activity. And at the very least, the people who try and fail have had a great educational experience out of it, and then can leverage their university's resources and other opportunities within the community. So we're really focused in the Merrimack Valley on building this pyramid. And again, our work is really in the early level. One of the other questions I was asked to focus on is why we work in second-tier cities and why we're working in Lowell and Lawrence. Well, from a philanthropic point of view, that was easy. Lowell, Lawrence, Haverhill have a population a little over 200,000, and they get about $5 million a year in private philanthropy. Boston has a population of 400,000, gets $150 million in philanthropy. So the bang for the buck is much bigger when you're working in second-tier cities. And when we launched there, we really just launched last December. And the first conference we had attracted 400 people from the business, nonprofit, university sector. And so what we found in these second-tier cities, including our work in India, is that there's already a great infrastructure. There's historic infrastructure from the Industrial Revolution in both those cities. There's a tremendous number of entrepreneurs, people who live in those cities who move to Boston or elsewhere, who have a passion for their hometown, and there's good universities and colleges. And so connecting that and using our philanthropic dollars to improve their programming, for them to reach members of their community to become entrepreneurial, that's a lot more, you can do it a lot easier than you can in Boston, which already has everything sort of in a lot of ways. And so we're really focused on the pyramid, and I think as philanthropy, what we'd like to see is more people thinking about this bottom level where you really have lots of support for ideas and entrepreneurs, but very little money and very little filters so that people can really have the freedom to work on what they want to work on. And it's a big experiment that's worked well in India. We're hoping it works just as well here in the US.
Hi, I'm Jim Greenwald.
Oh, no.
I think I'm next. Okay. All right.
We just have to stay in order with the PowerPoints, not for any control freak reasons here.
It's Phil is the only one that has slides. Tim Grewal from the Kern Family Foundation based in Waukesha, Wisconsin. A little bit of a maverick here. Our foundation supports a network of about 20 private independent colleges across the country who wish to change their engineering pedagogy by instilling the entrepreneurial mindset in 100% of the engineering students without the intent necessarily to create a single entrepreneur. We feel strongly that some of them will become entrepreneurs, but we want all of them to work for entrepreneurial companies, and in so doing, be entrepreneurially minded. We define that in a paper. We frame the issues, we define the terms, and it's available in a publication. If you're interested, I can give you a reference to it. The goal, though, is our expectation is that engineers will be the purveyors of technology, and it's really technology that they need to translate into benefit-providing products to support market segments around the world. Our foundation, though, I make this really clear, our foundation is not in the business of giving away money. We're in the business of catalyzing or accelerating change that comes intrinsically from within the institution. We feel no amount of money is ever going to change culture. And so that has to begin, and as Michael said, they need to come with a plan, a actionable plan with specific outcomes that we would help support, and we will hold them as a foundation accountable to executing that plan. From a sustainability point of view, we feel that's the only paradigm that will be go into the future after our foundation sunsets in the year 2035. Our founders, Mr. and Mrs. Robert Kern, say if we can't make this pedagogical change by the year 2035, it's never going to happen. And more than that, it's important that we do it now for all the reasons that we heard this morning. To change culture, though, we expect actually that our institutions create networks, vertical networks, horizontal networks, and dense networks. Networks of colleges that work with one another and in their own way are entrepreneurial to meet unmet needs in this educational space by leveraging their core competencies to help one another. The benefit is to the students because not only do they have the diploma then of their alma mater, they have the fact that in their 4 years of undergraduate engineering education, they've worked with the best intellectual capital at 19 other colleges and universities around the country. So bottom line, lessons learned, to make a change needs to start from the top. This change has to be supported by the president, provost, deans, department chairs, faculty, and staff in this vertical network. It needs to be horizontally networked so that you have cross-functional teams within the university and actually cross-functional teams across different universities. And our money is going to follow passion with an executable plan. It doesn't lead it.
Good morning. I'm Susan Reardon, Vice President and Executive Director of the National Chamber Foundation. The National Chamber Foundation is a 501c affiliate of the U.S. Chamber of Commerce. And the foundation and the chamber are somewhat new to this entrepreneurial space and to funding entrepreneurial programs. And perhaps that's the one message you can take away with regards to the topic of this panel in terms of finding new sources of funding, that there are still some organizations, major organizations out there, coming perhaps a little late or maybe just in time to this topic. So the U.S. Chamber of Commerce started about a year and a half ago a campaign, the Campaign for Free Enterprise. The goal of the campaign is to raise awareness in the American public about the role of free markets and what the meaning of free enterprise is. The foundation took on the specific role of addressing young audiences at the high school and the college level. And as we explored that space, we quickly became aware that one of the best ways to get that message across is the entrepreneurship experience. And as we began to look at what programs are out there, clearly it's a very crowded space, but we wanted to have some impact. We wanted to amplify some of the best programs that are going on out there. So the very first program we sponsored is the Extreme Entrepreneurship Tour. So we signed on as their lead sponsor last year, signed up again this year, and again, supporting this summit, looking for new opportunities. We're also supporting students in Free Enterprise SIFE, Junior Achievement, and the Kairos Society. Another major part of the campaign is the whole message around economic recovery, as Michael said, and jobs. And we found, again, the entrepreneurship message was very effective in reaching audiences, both on the political level, which the Chamber is very engaged in, and in the education space, that this is one of the vital tools we have to economic recovery for this country. So again, that's the message, the message about free enterprise. So I would just encourage you that I know there are organizations like the U.S. Chamber out there who maybe aren't as active in this area, and look to them to develop new sources for funding. Thank you.